Hey guys, so in honor of the book I just read, I wanted to actually show you guys this model I got for being a Warhammer TV member for a year. Uh, Honestly, the Warhammer TV, I kind of look at it more as I paid $60 for this model, but it's a cool model. It's a Vindicar Assassin. You know, I like this one. I think I did a really good job painting it. I don't want to break him. But I wanted to show him off because of the book I just read for the Horus Heresy. And that book is Nemesis. Now, as the title of this video states, I think Nemesis, the book, is a perfect outline, a literal guideline, if you will, for a game they should have made instead of Darktide. Why do I say that? Because, and I will kind of be going into spoiler territory further on into the book as I continue my review, so just be warned of that. I will give you a heads up right before I get into that, but I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of what the book is about. So in the beginning, you know, it's pretty straightforward. They gather a group of the top assassins and they say, hey, we need you to go get Horus. James Swallow is the author of this book, and honestly, it's a pretty good read. It is actually much easier to get through than the book that came before it, which was Thousand Suns. Thousand Suns is a lot of big words. I'm not that smart, I guess. Well, this book, you know, is pretty cool. It really doesn't focus a lot on Astartes, but it does kind of show them when they do show up. It shows them how strong. It shows you how strong they are, for one, which I think is super cool. You know, it shows what a threat they are to not just the average human, but to like actual, even, you know, enhanced humans. And then of course we get some views on some demons and stuff. Kind of more intricacy when it comes to like, you know, how the Imperium operates and some of the higher level people that are in it, which I think is cool. It doesn't get boring, which I like. There are some moments that are a little slow, but they're not boring because there's still something going on that you're interested in reading about. And I think one of the best things it does is that there is a certain point in the book where it really shows you, once again, just like the Mechanicum book did, just like how much humanity loses in the Civil War. Not just losing their best people in general, but like weapons, technology, you know, ships, planets. Like, it just shows you what a loss this Civil War is for the Imperium. Even if you win, like, at what cost? What are you winning? But yeah, next book I'll be reading after Nemesis will be this next book in the series, which is The First Heretic. And I only know this book by name because I remember seeing something on a forum somewhere that someone said this is the first time somebody says death to the Emperor, or death to the false Emperor, or death to the corpse god. One of those heretical sayings. But I can't wait to get into this book. There's a demon on it, clearly, and obviously an award bearer who's given himself over to chaos, and he's fighting a Custodes. So I'm very curious to see what this book gets into and the shenanigans it brings. So this is a point of the video where I talk about Nemesis. Now, I think it's a great book. I give this book an 8 out of 10. I think it would have gotten a 9 out of 10 if it had maybe a little less kind of lull moments, but I think overall it's a really good read, especially if you're somebody that's really interested in reading more about the universe of Warhammer. You know, in the 30,000th millennia, you're not just trying to just hear about Space Marines all the time. The things that work in this book, hearing about the different types of assassins, the technology they use, and just how crazy it really all gets in the future for them to maintain control in the Imperium. Things that don't work for me very much. A lot of big names for every weapon they have. There's always some kind of crazy sounding weapon, and then, you know, a lot of it's just shenanigans dies down to why did this super weapon not kill this thing or this person or this, or, you know, why did this situation work out that way? And they kind of just tie it all back to, well, that's kind of destiny and how it's supposed to work out. Well, mysterious forces are at work, or, you know, stuff like that. Now, we're going to get into the spoiler territory right here, so if you don't want to hear any more, my review is that you should read this book. You should, you know, if you're still reading the Horus Heresy books, this is a book you should be excited for. If you don't want to hear any more, you can turn off here, but I would really love you to keep watching, because of course I need the views and I also need the follows. Moving on from that, though, some of the spoilers. Why I think this book would have been a great book for, instead of like, it would have made a great video game, is because it literally is like a template of how they made Darktide. There is a squad of maybe, I want to say 5 or 6 assassins. To be honest, my memory is a little shady, but it's essentially a Vindicar assassin, a Caldus assassin, a poisoner, which I don't know their name, an info site from the Valdis Ordo, and I believe there is another Caldus assassin. because there's a shapeshifter, there is a poisoner, which I believe is the protagonist's sister in the book, and she's one of the assassins too. So like they're all basically gathered from their clads, and they're told, hey, you're the best of the best, go out and take out Horus Lupercal, and that's their objective. They're the dream team, so to speak. Well, obviously that doesn't work, or the books would have ended here and there wouldn't have been 54 of them, and then also the continuations, right? But essentially there's some shenanigans that goes on, and they end up getting their mission diverted, and it's like a whole other thing. The reason I like this book, and why I think it would make a great, they should have just made this a video game. One, you would have made a video game that people would have been like, what the hell is the Horus Heresy? It's got Warhammer's tag on it. It would have been an amazing thing to see, if they did cities that back in the 30,000 millennia, they're like super advanced and whatnot. But you could literally take the template that they use to make Darktide and make a game like this. You have a 4-player squad, each character is an assassin, and what's even cooler is because they're superhuman in some way, they're not like space marines, but they're superhumans, you could still have space marines in the game, and they could fight them, and you could actually realistically kill them. They could be bosses, and you're not just killing like cultists. My issues with Darktide, I'll be making in a separate video, but I still think that there's so many times Games Workshop skips over content and stories that they've already made and doesn't just think, why don't we make this into a video, a show, a movie, a video game? Make it into an animation on YouTube, man, something. This book alone would be amazing to see. And there are so many scenes that are great like that. Like one of the scenes is when the Vindicar assassin, attempts to take out what he believes to be Horus. The description they give when his I think it's like a void penetrator bullet goes through the shield, penetrates the ceramite armor, blows the dude's brains out. The imagery of that would be such an amazing animation. You have this beautiful moment where the vengeful spirit is in orbit, and Sons of Horus are deploying onto this planet that they're on, which is called Dagnit, and he's sitting 3 miles away, holding line of sight on this dude with something out of American Sniper, and he blows this guy's head off, and you see the shield stop it for a second, and all the people are cheering as the Sons of Horus are coming down, and then everyone's just looking around, who the hell shot that guy? Just make an animation of that, man. I'll give you $1 million to see that. Honestly, Games Workshop could make billions doing stuff like that. But they don't, They like to make their subpar animations that don't have good mouth or voice syncing. So, I don't know. That's their business. What I think would make it really fun, too, would be you're basically, for a good majority of the book, they're just running around butchering, rebels on Dagnit. Because Dagnit ends up, being a patron for the War Master. Their objective at this point is to cause a huge uproar there and give the rebellion that's still loyal to the Emperor fighting chance to bring Horus to Dagnit in order to get him in their line of sight. And, of course, it works a little too well. Everybody dies because of them. And they end up getting their mission diverted to fight a different enemy. I don't want to give away a lot of the endings of the book and what goes on, but essentially, there's so many things you can take from this book that could straight up be injected into a video game and just work very fluidly. Obviously, not everything will cut perfectly, because there are some moments where people get killed very quickly, but that's just the nature of things. I do think there are parts where clearly there's plot armor involved, because you just hyped up a person the whole time in the book about what a wonderful assassin they are, and then they just disappear in 3 seconds, or vice versa. You talk about this one human being who's a super smart person, very insightful, and then he gets killed in some weird way, and you're like, okay, well, how did you not see that coming? Plot armor. It's a big thing in the Horus Heresy books and in the Warhammer in general. But remember, we chop that up to, that's the Emperor, his wisdom or whatever, and Emperor protects. I feel like that's a bit of a cop-out. But I will say, this is really what I think the book that should have been the game. And I hope in the future, Games Workshop takes a minute to go over their library and stuff that they've done before and go, maybe we can make this into some kind of IP, into this animation or a show, and it'll translate better, and it'll be something really interesting that people will love. I think they're not willing to take that bold of a risk. I think it's a bold risk they should take, because people would love to know about the Horus Heresy. It's such an interesting time, and it has so many good moments. But yeah, I really love this book, and I'm excited to see what comes next in the First Heretic, and continue, of course, all the way to the Siege of Terra. If you guys really like these videos, make sure you guys give me a like and subscribe, comment something. I need the traction to keep the views going. I don't do this every day, obviously. I also have a job, and I have a bunch of other stuff to do, so I try to put in as much time in my hobby as I can. but I love Warhammer, and if you love Warhammer, you know, I would love to share my comments and talks with you guys on what you guys think. Have you guys read the Horus Heresy? Are you guys reading any other Warhammer books? Would you guys have any recommendations I should read? Should I get into more Xeno books? Or I know that there's a whole kind of crime series too that is in Black Library that I might be interested in reading, and Warhammer fantasy books too. But yeah, guys, also check me out on TikTok at JackSkellington117 for as long as we have TikTok still here in America. And I'll catch you guys later. See you in the next one. Peace.